No, sir, I think the disorder arises, doesn't it? First, when we are mechanical process going on, and in that mechanical process, brain feels secure. And when that mechanical process is disturbed, it becomes insecure.
Then it does it again.
Again and again and again
and
and
again.
again.
It never stays with that insecurity.
No,
That this
no. When it perceives this process, it's still mechanical, and therefore disorder.
Well, the question is, why does the brain get caught in mechanism then, do you see? In other words, it seems the way in a situation, the brain gets caught in a mechanical process.
Because it's the safest, the most secure way of living.
Well, it appears that way, but we've seen it's actually very
not appears, it is so for the time being.
for the time being, but in the long run it's not.
In the long
Well,
run.
you're
But
saying
wait,
we're
well, I see the
time bound? Are
point.
you saying we're time bound,
It is-
conditioned to be time bound?
No, conditioned to be time bound, conditioned by our tradition, by our education, by the culture we live in, and so on, so on, so on, to operate mechanically.
To take the easy way.
Easy way.
But I see it's also a kind of mistake to say, let's say in the beginning, the mechanical way shows signs of being safer, and at the beginning the brain makes a mistake, let's say, and says this is
That's
safer,
right.
but then somehow it fails to be able to see that it has made a mistake. It holds to this mistake, right? See, in the beginning you might call it an innocent mistake to say this looks safer and I will follow it. But then after a while you're getting evidence that it's not so safe, but the brain begins to reject it, keep away from it.
Well, I think though you could raise the issue whether there aren't certain given facts in child rearing. I mean, when the mother feels a baby is crying and she jams a nipple in its
Yeah.
mouth, that's teaching the baby that you shut up and take the easy
No,
way
poor
out.
baby.
Right?
Well, there's a lot of conditioning.
That's only the mothers who don't want babies when they jam the nipple.
That's right.
Don't.
That's right.
Well, I mean, that's part of the conditioning which explains how it is propagated, but you see, it still doesn't explain why the brain doesn't see at some stage that it's wrong, you see.
Why it doesn't see it at some stage that it's wrong?
In other words, it continues in this mechanical process rather
Yeah.
than seeing that it's wrong.
You're asking why doesn't it see that
Yeah.
this mechanical process is essentially disorder,
It's disorder and dangerous.
dangerous and all
So,
that.
yeah.
in
why
other words,
doesn't
it's a
that become
complete
clear?
delusion.
Yeah, why
The
doesn't
security
it-
is totally delusory.
I mean, why isn't there some sort of feedback? In other words, I do something and it comes out wrong. At some point, I ought to realize that. Why don't I mean, for instance, I see my life as mechanical.
No, wait.
But
You
I
see
don't.
it?
But I don't.
Wait. Why is it mechanical?
Well, it's mechanical because it goes like this. It goes from, it's all action and reaction.
Why is it mechanical?
It's repetitious,
Which is mechanical.
which is mechanical. I want it to be easy. That's also mechanical.
You go
I
push
want
a
it to
little
be
further.
easy. I feel that gives me the most security to keep it mechanical. I get a boundary. I know it's like you say, I have the house. I've got my mechanical life. That gives me security. It's mechanical because it is repetitious.
And but you haven't answered my
I know I
question.
haven't. It's mechanical. I'm not sure. What's your question? Your question is why?
Has it become mechanical?
Why has it become?
And why does it remain mechanical?
Mechanical.
Why does
Why
it
has
remain?
it become and remain mechanical?
Oh, I think it remains mechanical, but it's the thing we began with, and to see.
No, you're not. If you pursue it, why does it remain mechanical?
I don't see it's mechanical.
No. And what has caused it to accept this mechanical way of living?
I'm not sure I can answer that. The feel of it is that I would see the insecure. I would
No,
see.
no, look, wouldn't you be frightened
Yes,
if
I
there
would
was
see
no...
the uncertainty.
Huh?
I would
No,
s-
no. If the mechanical process of life
Right.
which one lives suddenly stopped, wouldn't you frighten? Wouldn't you
Yeah.
get frightened?
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't there be some genuine danger in some
That of course, there is a danger that things might
will all go to pieces?
pieces.
Right. Well, it's deeper than that.
We're going to find out.
It's not just that there's a genuine danger and I would be frightened. It feels like things take on a terribly moment by moment effect.
No, sir. Look, would total order give it complete security, wouldn't it? Total order.
Yeah.
The brain wants total order.
Right.
Otherwise it can't function properly. Therefore, it accepts the mechanical and hoping it won't lead to disaster.
Right.
Hoping it'll find order in that.
Okay, well, could you say that perhaps in the beginning the brain accepted this just simply not knowing that this mechanism would really
Yes,
lead to
that's right,
disorder,
that's right.
and it just went into it by an innocent
And
mistake,
then,
right?
yes,
But then
caught
later
in a trap.
it's caught in a trap, you see, and somehow it maintains this disorder. It doesn't want to get out of it.
Because it's frightened of greater disorder.
Yeah, it says, all that I built up may go to pieces. You see,
Quite.
in other words, I'm not in the same situation as when I first went in the trap, because now I built up a great structure,
Yes,
and I
yes.
right.
think that structure will go to pieces.
That's right. I heard one man, I nearly fell out of my seat. I heard one man say, he says to another, turns to one of his colleagues, he says, I just published my 13th book. And he said it just like that. He was, the way he said
No,
it was
sir,
desperate.
what I'm trying to get at is the brain needs order. Otherwise it can't function. It finds order in mechanical process because it's trained from childhood. Do as you are told, don't, etc., etc., etc. There is a conditioning going on right away to live a mechanical life.
Right.
But there's also the fear induced of giving up this mechanism
course,
at the
of
same
course.
time. I mean, in other words, that you are thinking all the time, without this, everything will go to pieces,
Yes,
including especially the brain. Right?
brain, yes. And so they break from this mechanical business and join communities, all the process, which is still mechanical,
Right. Right.
which means the brain must have order. And finds order in mechanical way. Now, do you see actually the mechanical way of living leads to disorder, which is tradition. If I live entirely in the past, which is very orderly, I think it is very orderly, and what takes place? I'm already dead, and I can't meet
I'm
anything.
repeating myself always. Right.
So please don't disturb my tradition. The communists say that, the Catholics say that, you follow, same thing.
Right.
And every human says, please, I have found something which gives me order, a belief, a hope, this or that, and leave me alone.
Right.
And life isn't going to leave him alone. So he gets frightened and establishes another mechanical habit. Now, do you see this whole thing? And therefore, an instant action of breaking it all away. And therefore, order. The brain then says, at last I have an order, which is absolutely indestructible.